welcome to another episode of Grow For It. Today we have a very special guest with a unique background, Jonathan Dunn, co-founder of the Dream Leader Institute. Jonathan has owned a wellness center and gym before he made it to be an award-winning dynamic public speaker, and now he coaches others to do the same and pursue leadership in their own lives. So Jonathan, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Nathan. It's great to be here, and hello to the audience. Hope you get a lot from this.
Absolutely. Happy to have you. Can you start out just by telling us a little bit about how you got into coaching and how your life led you to this spot you're in now?
Absolutely. I was bullied a ton as a young man, and as I got older, my sister started dating a man in the military who taught me how to lift weights, and learning how to lift weights really saved my life. So once I got out of college, I spent a year teaching, and what I really wanted to do was open my own wellness facility. It was called Pure Energy Wellness, and I wanted to teach people how to get strong in their own lives. And I noticed that every person that I helped out, I healed a little bit myself, and I got a lot of joy out of it. And I've always been really huge about really caring about the people I work with above profits. And a lot of businesses started coming into my gym and getting their team members memberships. And they were like, "You have the most fascinating culture I've ever been in." So then they started asking me to, a lot of engineers, people like that. One was founded on Shark Tank. And then they asked me to come give speeches at their companies. And then they started asking me to help the people at their companies to have a similar mindset to mine. And then it kind of evolved from there. And then on top of it all, as I was going through all of that, I lost my best friend to cancer. And then I lost my own wife to an addiction. And I felt very helpless through it all. And I did not like that feeling of helplessness. And I was like, you know what? I want to help people at the deepest possible core level I can. And I started educating myself on it. And I never really looked into getting out of owning a wellness facility. However, without having a website, through pure word of mouth, after the first year, I had 101 clients. And I definitely felt God was sending me in a different direction because what I was doing was not sustainable in my own life. And I decided to sell the gym and devote myself purely to speaking and coaching. And about that time, a really, really super famous Christian author had asked me to come give a speech at his company. And then he went and he recruited me to run the coaching department of his consulting firm in South Florida. Now, this is all over a big span of years. And by that time, I had remarried, and my wife had a background in psychology as well as being a college athlete. And she said, "I really think you should take the job and learn how to operate as part of a team." So I did ultimately sell the gym, shut down my coaching business, moved to South Florida and worked for him for a couple of years. And then COVID hit and all the live stuff died. And that meant my position died. And that was good because I really, in past relationships, you kind of have a roommate type relationship. And I really desired to have a one flesh relationship with my wife. And we decided to start our own thing and do it together, fully unified, and not be roommates passing in the night. And that's why in July of 2020, the Dream Leader Institute was born.
That's great. There's a lot I want to unpack there. So first of all, can you tell me, when it was back in the gym and wellness center days, what was it about your organization that people noticed that really stood out to people? And how did you kind of build that culture there?
Well, I really have to, not to sound cliche, but I have to give all the glory to God, because by the time I started dating my new wife, She was a big-time business person. She was a senior financial analyst at a multi-billion-dollar real estate investment trust. She had a MBA from one of the most prestigious business schools in Florida, and she started attending my gym. And we eventually got to, we'll call it the 1-year anniversary. And I had always called myself the worst businessman in the world. And she had been going there for a few months at that point, and I said, hey, you went to a prestigious business school. Could you give me some tips? And she says, no, I don't have any tips. And she's on the spectrum, by the way. So very blunt. And I go, are you sure you don't have any tips? And she goes, no, I don't have any tips. I go, I got to ask one more time. Are you sure? She goes, John, I have no tips. You're the best businessman I've ever come across in the entire world. It's not even close. And I said, well, in that case, why? Because I don't know. She said, you care about every person that walks in that door like they are the most important human being in the whole wide world. I've never, ever seen anything like it. And I do have to give all the glory to God for that, because when I was a kid, like a lot of what happens to us in our childhood, it ends up like it's kind of like bad per se, but it ends up being a great asset, because I never felt safe at home. I never felt cared about at home. So my business became an outlet to love people the way I always wanted to be loved.
That's great. That's a great way to use and learn from mistakes you've seen and use it for good and turn that around. And that's great that God gave you those experiences to be able to shine a light for others to see in that way.
And on that front, basically, I don't want to lump it all into one, but basically, like there's a lot of people with childhoods like that, and it doesn't necessarily go in that direction that it did for me. And then they're treating the people who work there in a very unlovable fashion and not caring about them and putting money over people. And it doesn't have to be that way. And it just all worked out for me in a good way. And once again, I give God all the glory for that. I mean, I spend 3 to 4 hours with God 7 days a week, and I ask really big questions of him, like, why am I here? And he made it very clear to me that most of society is sound asleep, making things that aren't important really important. And he made it very clear to me, I have you here to wake people up. That's it.
That's amazing. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about how you've built out Dream Leader Institute and what that looks like now, where it started and what it's become?
Absolutely. I mean, I've life is all about relationships, and I've met a lot of really, really neat people along the journey, so that when we decided to start this, we all took our, what we've learned throughout life, and we built a curriculum that's very gentle. It's very patient. It doesn't tell anybody what to do, because we know they've all already got the Holy Spirit in them. We just need to reconnect them with that. And it can really take someone and meet them where they're at, and then ultimately take them where they want to be. And my wife, as fate would have it, really didn't want to be in the business world. She had a love for art and integration. So she took all of our ideas and she integrated it into this very beautiful curriculum, and just have a lot of people who really have a heart for people. And we didn't have any great marketing plan. We didn't have any great business plan. It was the same plan I had at the gym back in the day when I started it. I'm going to care about people more than they can comprehend. It's going to be like the Cheers bar of gyms, and I'm going to let God sort out the rest. And to say it's grown bigger than I've ever dreamed about would be a gigantic understatement.
Amazing. That's great to hear. And amazing how God blesses that kind of faithfulness over time. And what do you think as far as where it started? You mentioned it's far beyond anything you could have ever imagined now. What are some of the biggest differences from where you started compared to where you are now in the Dream Leader Institute?
Well, interestingly enough, when I lost my job in 2020, and it was very humiliating. I mean, it wasn't personal. It was a numbers thing. And I went home, and my wife, who is like, she's like Peter was to Jesus. She said, I don't want to hear any pity parties. I don't want to hear any excuses. It's the best thing that could ever have happened. All I want to know is, what do you want our lives to look like in 5 years if you knew you could not fail? And I found this level of energy when I answered that question. It became such a huge, huge why that nothing was going to stop me. But the very next day, right after I got let go, one of my old clients from the gym reached out to me. It was a family company, and said, hey, Candace, no one will know who that is, wants Michael and I to take over the company, but she knows we need executive coaching. Are you still doing coaching? And I said, absolutely. And it was all interesting. You're going to have to interview with Candace, though, and right before you interview, it's going to be the main executive coach for all of Marriott hotels, so no pressure. But I already knew that if this was happening, it was a sign from God. And I met with her the next day, and the owner, and she said, man, talking to you is the happiest I've ever been. I was going to get coaching for them, but now I want you to coach me. And I knew it was a sign from God at that point, and I just took incredible care of them. And you just take great care of people, and then they refer you people, and then they refer you people. Then I do a lot of work with Chick-fil-A organization. One of my old Chick-fil-A contacts had heard I was on my own now, and he wanted some help. His wife wanted some help. And then I did such a great job with their staff. They referred me to like 10 other Chick-fil-A's, and it just,
Wow.
I always had a heart for military veterans and the PTSD, and I was always putting it out there that I was willing to help them for free. And met a few of those along the way, and then they referred me to people. I ended up doing 6 stints in the Department of Defense teaching leadership, but it was all God's hands all over it. I sit there and think about it all the time, like, how did I end up here exactly? And I have a lot of trust in God, and it's just like, what would your life look like if you fully trusted God? And you get a glimpse of who you want to be as a person there. And I legitimately did it. And I just tell people all the time, it says, don't lean on your own understanding, and God sees our plans, and, kind of chuckles at them. And I'm like, how my life turned out, is better than I could have ever imagined. Even this past Saturday, my wife and I were on a date, and she's like, people think perfection doesn't exist. This was the perfect day. And I said, it's funny. I was just thinking the same thing, because we've both got really good at finding God in every moment. And what could be more perfect than that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to hear. And it's awesome how one pivotal question from your wife years ago was the springboard for what has become of this business. It seems like she has a lot of wisdom, and it's cool to see your partnership along the way.
No, it's really, really neat. And I'm just telling everyone who's like in the audience, if you go around and ask people, hey, what's your why? You'd be amazed. Survive the day, get through the day, just make it to Saturday to have a little bit of fun before I dread my life. And that why that you have, you got to be willing to die for. And I was like, it was funny too, because my why was, everybody thinks they need these complicated lives. And for me, I was just like, my last line to my wife that day was, I just want to walk to the coffee shop with you each morning, smiling and holding hands and knowing we did it together. And when we bought our place in New Smyrna, 2 days before the closing, the realtor called us, and he goes, hey, by the way, I didn't tell you, the unit you bought comes with a 6-seater golf cart that's brand new. So it was a good chuckle from God. He's like, you're not going to walk to the coffee shop smiling and holding hands. you're going to drive to the coffee shop in your golf cart with your Shih Tzu in between your laps, smiling and holding hands and knowing you did it. It was just like a little cherry on top.
That's nice. That's a good ride. You're riding in style these days.
Although we do walk a lot of times still to get our steps in, but it's fun riding around in the golf cart together.
Yeah, that's
not needing a car anymore.
Yeah. So if you had to pick, back to the business, if you had to pick one thing that's driving most of your business growth right now, what would you say that is?
Giving people way more than they ever could even imagine. And I recently started working with this company in Washington, D.C. And after, I guess it was about 2 or 3 months, the guy goes, JD, I have never met anybody like you. I said, why is that, Prashant? He goes, you never, ever pack it in. Every time we talk, you are on fire. I've never seen anything like it. He goes, in fact, I don't even want to do our session today. I just want to know what your life looks like hour by hour. And then on top of that, I mean, I have to at least throw this in. I do a lot of work with Chick-fil-A. And one of the ladies that I work with that was an operator, she said, I've never met somebody who has so much wisdom like you. You're like a 100-year-old man in a 53-year-old man's body. She goes, you got to start getting your messages out there on social media. And I was like, what do you have in mind? And she goes, TikTok. And I'm like, but we did. And, we're on TikTok, YouTube. We have a pretty big following. And all the stuff that I talk about with people, I post videos of it for free every single day. And that has been, I'm just putting value out there, but it is amazing to me how many people have reached out. And we do these free online master classes once a month. It's never a sales pitch. I refuse to do that. But a lot of people are like, wow, what you're doing is on a completely different level. How do we become your client? So that's really compounded things even more.
That's fantastic. On the flip side, what would you say is one of the most challenging or hardest parts about running your company right now?
I mean, look, every business at the end of the day runs on leads. And I've grown my staff by people who were formerly clients, and they love it and believe on it. I mean, we'd like to get more leads, but at the same time, we're very happy with where it's at. But any business that you start, that's going to be the hardest part. And that's everything. Like product development's easy, delivery's easy, but getting as many leads in as you want, that's another story. And like I say, I feel very blessed. It's bigger than I ever imagined. But that is the hardest part.
And then along those lines, what have you found to work really well for you guys in that area? What have you found to not work so well?
Pushing out content on the videos has been very, very helpful. Doing the free online master classes has been very helpful. And I mean, what doesn't really help? Posting on LinkedIn.
Really? That's interesting, because I hear a lot of coaches have a lot of success with LinkedIn and use that as one of their primary ways to generate leads.
I don't know. So, I mean, I don't even really know what the difference is between hard and easy these days. But if I had to say you're going to start doing a bunch of LinkedIn posts and magically you're going to have all this business flooding in, I'd say that's probably not accurate. And I've never gone down the road of these like fly by night, build you a sales funnel companies, but I suspect that's pretty scammy as well. But my primary thing is take incredible care of your people. People will see them transform and they'll say, hey, what are you doing? And we get clients.
Yeah, that's great. Looking ahead a little bit, where do you see your business in the next year or 2 years? What do you think is next in development for you?
Well, there's this guy who's part of our team named Dr. Cliff, and he really is a doctor, and he's the guy that handles all the strategic planning, and he's the one that's made it scalable and all of that. I would legitimately have to ask him. I know one of the things that is on our radar, where I won't be talking out of my butt, is we built this great network of people up, supporters of the thing. And we're going to start teaching people how to be coaches and then plugging them into our network of people that can do everything for them so that they can just focus in on doing what they love, is coaching. I know that's on the radar. Other than that, we're making a video class. Our curriculum is designed in year spans. Like the first year is designed to get people just dreaming again and healing and becoming who God meant them to be. The second year is on having your best year ever. The third year of curriculum is you want to be that person that goes the extra mile. And then the fourth year's theme is you want to be a person who doesn't just impact the generation you're in, but you carry yourself in a fashion that impacts generations of people. And we're going to turn all that into a video course, where I'm really talking, the other team members are talking, and we're going to sell that for I think $99 a year. And that way we'll have a bigger outreach of people. And I know that's on the radar as well.
That's amazing. That sounds like a great resources for coaches out there. What would you say? I know I saw on your website that one of your big ambitions or goals is to leave a legacy that impacts many people. What do you have in mind as far as that?
Well, one of our 4 core values are genshai, which means you never act in a fashion that doesn't raise people up. Our second core value is arete. That's a Greek word, meaning you're always moving towards your own full potential as a human being and being highly moral. The third one is care, which means create authentic relationships through a high level of empathy. And the fourth one is impact. And when you read our Constitution, it actually says generational impact. And the whole way we're going to, the ultimate big baller move in life is to build something that benefits people when you're dead. And we have already done that, but how we carry ourselves as people and coaches is, once again, loving people so much and showing them what that looks like, that it has to trickle down to future generations. And I already know that it's taken place. There's people getting DLI around the world right now that I have no idea who they are or how they came up.
Wow, that's amazing. I know you had talked about kind of the 4 primary themes of the 4 years of working with you and your team. Is the typical coaching relationship with your team a 4-year commitment?
No, we do not. We are so, by the way, this is probably a good tip. One of the barriers of entry when you take on a coaching client is most of them expect you to sign a contract and you don't really know what's going to happen. We are so confident in our service that we do not ever make people sign contracts. They can quit whenever they want. I'm not going to say it happens 0, but it barely ever happens. And we love reapplying for our job each month. And what everyone says is, there really is no value on what you're doing. It's priceless. I mean, when you help people bury the lies they tell themselves, there is no value for that.
Yeah, that's great.
Because people tell themselves a lot of lies, Nathan.
I believe that. I believe that. What do you think is one of the biggest ones that you see and come across in the coaching that you do?
The biggest lies people tell themselves? It's easy. And everyone who's watched this podcast will know it's true. People, by and large, do not think they're good enough. I mean, and all the stats prove it. I think it's 99% of our population does not believe they will ever accomplish something great. And people all the time go, did you pull that stat out of your butt? And I go, no, I got it from a book. And I just say, if you don't believe it, how many people do you know who are living a life of their dreams? It's a 10 out of 10 at home with the love of their life, filled with unconditional love. And then they wake up and they absolutely love going to the job they have. And for most people to go, well, actually, maybe the stat is 0% then. So people, by and large, do not feel like they are.
And why do you think people feel that way? What's kind of something you would say to someone out there who feels that way?
Well, I mean, I have a whole drill I bring them through to start grasping that they are good enough. But look, I mean, this will probably maybe be unpopular, but I would just say in the United States of America, it's been complete institutional failure from schools to businesses to churches and across the board. Because, I mean, how many people do you meet where they're like on freaking fire for the Lord? They love going to their job. And man, when they go home, it's like sunshine and roses. And I just call it really like complete institutional failure from top to bottom. The whole asking sophomores and juniors in high school, what do you want to do with the rest of your life, when they don't even know who they are yet?
Right.
It is the dumbest, most idiotic model I could ever even grasp. And then they go to college, they get in debt, then they get their job and they're miserable. They go, oh, I probably need to get a wife. That's why I'm still miserable. They get a wife, they're still miserable. I probably need to have a kid. I mean, I haven't checked that box off yet. And they do it all. Then they're tired. Then they're exhausted. Then they're in debt to whatever they're doing and they can't get out. And ultimately they're like, damn, I'm not good enough. And by the way, I mean, an even deeper thing there. What parent didn't tell their kid to go after their dreams, Nathan?
Right.
And how many parents actually went after their dreams?
That's a great question.
And it's not a virtue, but the number one thing that got passed out from parents to kids is hypocrisy. The kids sit there going, my parents told me to go after my dreams, but they come home from work every night and they're miserable and hate it. And they usually, they pour themselves a drink. So it's what God modeled to people.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I told my family, hey, I'm going to start my own business, they're like, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's irresponsible. You have a child on the way. What's wrong with you? How many friends get together and talk about dreams? How many people even get together and talk about God? And then on top of that, people say, I believe I'm created in the image of God. And I go, did you know God sacrificed his son so you could even be here? And most people won't even sacrifice a bad habit to achieve success in their own life.
Absolutely. So then, that being said, what do you think would be ways that we can improve the system that we currently have? Or even just starting with our own families?
I mean, love is a funny thing. And it's meant to be unconditional love. But yet, most children grow up and go, I only get loved when I get on a sports team, or I only get loved when I get straight A's on my report card. And the vast majority of our society is growing up and viewing love as a transactional thing. And it's like, hey, it's unconditional love. You love your kids unconditionally on a tough day, you love them unconditionally on a good day, and you don't distinguish between the two. We've got to teach what love really is, because most people are very confused on the topic. They think it's a transaction. And we know in reading Corinthians, that's not what love is.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That's a fantastic outlook. Back to the business a little bit. How do you see technology or automation playing a role in your business's growth over the next few years?
No, look, I am not anti-AI. One of the things, like, people, they go, what is it you do exactly? And I go, what do coaches do? They help people win championships. So first we have to get people clear on what does the championship of their life even look like, because most people can tell you what they don't want versus can tell you what they do want. So once we've established what the championship is, we say, hey, and we want to do it by this date. Why do we want to do it? And then, people get very overwhelmed by that. And it's like, no, don't get overwhelmed. What are all the small victories that lead to the big victories? And a lot of people get very lost on that. They get overwhelmed. And I say, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect. You've never done this before, but we'll make it perfect together. But, I tell people, hey, you plug into AI. This is what I want to accomplish. This is why I want to accomplish it. This is when I want to accomplish it by. Send me a detailed list of intermediary victories and the dates they need to be done by. And then they pop that out, and they send it to me, and I've got a copy, and they've got a copy, and you hold each other accountable. It's a really, really, really good tool. But it will never replace human interaction. But it is a good tool for what I do. Extra arm of accountability.
That's a fantastic tip and idea on how to use it for personal growth and pursuing goals as well. So sharing that. It's
amazing. And you can build processes off of it and all that. I am openly embracing.
Fantastic. What about if you could free up 10 to 20 hours of your week every week? What would you focus on differently compared to what you're currently focused on?
Well, the good news is one of my wife and I's 2027 goals was to go to a 4-day work week. And I already can go to a 4-day work week. So I have all the free time I already want.
Great.
And we decided, though, that I'm still having so much fun doing this. We went to a 4.5-day work week, and we added one extra day of our coffee dates together. So I've got all the free time I want. I work the amount I work because I want.
Fantastic. I love to hear that.
And there's no expiration on giving your God-given talents. So if your goal is to retire someday, you're in the wrong line.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
Life by design.
That's a good thought-provoking statement you just made there. I love it. If you had to give a tip to someone out there who's just starting out in their coaching business, what's something that you wish you knew at the beginning?
Nothing, except I'll say this, because I see a lot of coaches. They go to some weekend BS seminar and they think they're ready to do it. If you haven't accomplished something great in your own life, don't be a coach. It's very hypocritical. And make sure there's not a damn thing you're asking people to do that you don't do yourself, or you are disingenuous and a fraud and giving the industry a bad name. And we see it a lot.
That's a good one. That's a very, very important one for someone to hear right off the bat. So I appreciate you sharing that. What would be one additional tip that you'd like to leave our viewers with that maybe we haven't hit on today that's really important to you and maybe a big part of your coaching program?
Well, one of the things that happened to me along the way is I was a big Wayne Dyer fan a long time ago. And he ultimately died, and somebody gave me a CD of this author, and his first line was, "Has life ever felt confusing?" And I was like, yeah, it does feel confusing at times. And he's like, it feels confusing because you're not asking God what to do. So less than 1% of our population actually pursues and puts in the work that is necessary to become the person that God created them to be. And it's going on that journey that all of the answers to life's questions are revealed. So you've heard many thought leaders over the years say, who you become is the most important thing you will ever do. It really is true, and it's always within your control to become who you are created to be. So step one is every day asking God in the morning, in the silence, God, I have no idea what's going to happen today. And you know what? I don't need to, because I trust you. But would you tell me who I need to be as I go throughout this day? And I'm telling you, he'll tell you. But that has to be priority number one, becoming who God meant you to be. And at the other end of that is a life you can't wrap your mind around.
That's fantastic. And the way God works, he's always working in us and he's working on us. So that's a great tip. But I'm sure it works a little bit faster if you're if you're in on it too. Or it might be a little easier to learn the lessons too.
One of the best Bible verses that very few apply, do not conform any longer to the patterns of this world. At some point, you have to realize all the worldly stuff is incredibly transient and fleeting. And it's not magically going to work because it's you. Humble yourself before the Lord means, Lord, I'm done trying it the worldly way. I'm ready to try it your way.
Yep, absolutely. That's great. And that's a great daily reminder for anyone out there. So fantastic advice. Thank you for sharing that. I guess I'll wrap it up with this. What is one of the best places for our viewers to find more information about you and Dream Leader Institute, get in touch with you and learn more about your programs, maybe even the monthly master classes that you offer?
Well, dreamleaderinstitute.com is our website. I'm just going to my phone right now. Not that I'm not focused. I just don't even really know what the name is. But on TikTok, we're Dream Leader Institute. And on YouTube, it's... that would somehow take it. It's the Dream Leader Institute. And I have thousands upon thousands of videos on just doling out lots of great wisdom in a very fun way. I like to laugh a lot. And that would be all the ways. And, you can put my email in there. People can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk to somebody. It's fun. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I just don't do that. I'm always like, the best sales process is no sales process. When your reputation precedes you, that's where you want to be.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. When you don't have to sell, it's a lot more comfortable and a lot easier that way. Jonathan, thank you very much for joining us. You shared a lot of great, valuable advice, very applicable advice that people can start implementing right off the bat. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Have a great God day, everyone.
Absolutely. And thank you to our viewers. If you found this valuable, please leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you here on another episode of Grow For It. Thank you.